I love Resident Evil, making one of my most played franchises of all time. For the past few months, I've created videos about some of these games, aiming to dissect their details and understand why they stand out not only for me, but for the gaming community worldwide. Resident Evil's influence extends beyond its genre, inspiring games like Silent Hill and even The Last of Us. Whether or not you are a fan of the series, you can't deny the significant impact that these games have on the gaming industry. Today, our focus is on a specific game, often considered the best in the franchise and one of the greatest games of all time. I'm referring to Resident Evil 4, the 2005 version, a widely acclaimed masterpiece that remains a favorite among players. This game not only introduced me to the horror genre, but also sparked my interest in speedrunning, two things that I genuinely adore. While I've already dedicated a 3-hour-long video to discussing both the classic and the remake of Resident Evil 4, today's exploration zooms in on a specific section. This section is aged into our minds as the welcoming gateway to the new phase of survival horror, the day that Resident Evil changed the gaming community forever. There's a content creator that I really like to watch called Josh Strife Hayes. He analyzes games in a profound mechanical way that I truly admire. One of the most talked about topics he explores is the game gets good 100 hours in, sparking debates on whether a game should take 100 hours to become engaging. Many players, myself included, don't want to wait or don't have those 100 hours just lying around to be spent on a game that isn't intriguing from the start. All games need to have a captivating introduction to engage the player base and urge them to continue the journey. In the very first hour, a game should present an interesting plot or showcase its mechanics. In summary, a game needs to show players what it's about and what they can expect going forward. With that said, let's explore what makes a good introduction for a game. In today's video, I will use Resident Evil 4, the original, as an example of how brilliantly this section is crafted and how it effectively serves as an intuitive tutorial, despite the game barely mentioning any tutorial elements. I will also discuss how the level design caters to various types of players and how it rewards different playstyles. So, without further ado, join me in this adventure with our beloved super cop, Leon S. Kennedy. The game kicks off with a brief cutscene featuring Leon's voice narrating past events from previous games. It's short and sweet, providing enough information for the new players to grasp the backstory and understand that Resident Evil 4 is a standalone game chapter in the franchise. This is especially beneficial for those diving into the series with this installment as their first, eliminating the need to play previous games to enjoy this one. For veterans, the cutscene serves as a delightful rewind of past interactions, delivering a nostalgic dose of fun service that we all love. After that, we have a really catchy soundtrack while we finally meet our protagonist, Leon S. Kennedy, as he briefly talks about his background, who he is and why he's there. And I love that the game just starts to state a bit more of his character with his interactions with those two cops, being sarcastic and delivering just a small glimpse on how this version of Leon will be played in the next few hours. It is a solid intro that states previous games, the current one, where we are, what's the plot, and also presents the desaturated, foggy aesthetic of this abandoned village in the middle of an eerie forest that you are about to dive in. In just a few minutes, the player have more than enough information to be intrigued and also to know what to expect going forward. So with the foundation established, let's see how the gameplay and the level design carries what was presented so far. Looking back at the gameplay in 2005, it was truly an extraordinary experience, largely thanks to the seemingly simple yet groundbreaking feature, the over-the-shoulder camera. This innovation not only laid the foundation for numerous games in the future, but also proved to be game-changing. After Resident Evil 4, a slew of other games adopted the same camera angle. While today it might go unnoticed as it has become the default camera angle for many games, it was Resident Evil 4 that, with just the first second of gameplay, transformed the entire gaming industry. Here we are, at the beginning, with full control of Leon in our hands. What I truly appreciate about this initial section is that, depending on the player, you might either overlook some details or be rewarded for your curiosity. Most players tend to intuitively take a stroll around as they get accustomed to the controls. And this holds true for every type of player, from veterans to more casual ones. It's fascinating to consider the contrast. For some players, their last encounter with Resident Evil was this. If you are a veteran of the series, your last game might be this one, or any of those ones. Transitioning to Resident Evil 4 was a wholly new experience for players of all types. The new camera angles, controls, and aiming system were all fresh and unknown at the time, and the game is also aware of this, offering players both time and safe area to understand and explore with these innovative controls. The game doesn't hold your hand at this point, it encourages exploration. If you decide to look around or backtrack, you discover interactions with the cops from the cutscenes. Even going all the way back and abandoning your mission yells additional dialogue. These details might be subtle and not necessarily contribute to the main plot, but that "what if I do that" feeling where the game allows and rewards players' curiosity creates a satisfying loop. An excellent example of such a freedom is Baldur's Gate 3. In this game, you have unparalleled freedom. There are virtually no limits to what you can do. You can even throw a shoe at an enemy during combat if you want. The level of freedom these games had to offer. After playing Baldur's Gate, my brain decided to bring this memory back to life, and I found myself thinking, can I throw my shoe at someone? Oh god, I actually can! With the concept of exploration in mind, the game introduces an interesting element right from the start: crows. What's fascinating is that not everyone might initially think of shooting them. Considering this is a survival horror game, players often adopt a save ammo and shoot as the last resort mentality. Firing a bullet out of nowhere isn't the first instinct where you're conserving precious ammo. However, the game cleverly plays with this concept. It acknowledged that some players may be hesitant to shoot at the crows, so it gradually ramps up the pace. Soon after the start, you encounter and engage your first ganado, not far away. Following a cutscene, the game throws you into a 3v1 situation. With more space to maneuver and the over-the-shoulder camera enhancing movement, it makes sense for the game to introduce more enemies. This not only showcases Leon's capabilities, but also provides the first glimpse of how the familiar survival horror dynamic is about to change. Or let's say you embrace your curiosity and you shoot down the crow. Congratulations, you got rewarded with some sweet items. This dynamic is really well designed. It rewards every type of playstyle. The game is self-aware of their public and their player base. They try to play around with everyone's perspective, trying to predict the player's experience in different ways. After shooting those crows and realizing that this is a thing, you will be looking for more crows or maybe other props so you can shoot. Right in the initial moments, the game tells you what to expect and what to look for right in the first area. So much so that a couple minutes later, you will stumble upon some more crows perfectly aligned with Leon's camera so you can shoot and get rewarded with an explosive grenade? Another glimpse on what Resident Evil 4 is all about. Before delving into the iconic village fight, it's crucial to discuss the game's combat. Right after passing the crows, a cutscene adds to the tension as someone watches from a cabin window, signaling the imminent encounter with the first enemy. This classic tension-building moment reminds players that despite its differences from its predecessors, Resident Evil 4 retains the essence of a good old survival horror game. Investigating the cabin for information about Ashley, the president's missing daughter, quickly takes a turn when a ganado attempts to attack Leon. This marks the very first combat interaction, and what I love is that there are multiple ways to approach this fight. The game doesn't explicitly teach you the combat mechanics, you figure it out by yourself. Most players might instinctively try shooting or running. The depth of the mechanics becomes more apparent as you play, and the game allows you to experience the learning curve intuitively. Without realizing it, you might initially initially opt to shoot your first enemy until they die. Some players experiment by combining shooting and knifing as enemies collapse. If you explore the mechanics even further, you will learn the option of melee attacks on stagger enemies, opening up a plethora of combat possibilities and showcasing the depth in Leon's gameplay. All of this can be experienced without opening the tutorial file that we have had on us since the very start. It explains the basic commands, but the game does an excellent job just at designing this very intuitive system that every player will experience in a completely unique way. Now the game is very straightforward. You just slowly face a couple more Ganados along the way, get some resources and save your buddy here, which not only will help us in a future boss fight, but also is a clear alert on the traps going to the village, which you already can see right after saving him. Now, this is the culmination of all the build-up. The time and resources the game provides lead to this moment. You already familiarize yourself with the controls. Each player possesses enough knowledge to confront the challenge village fight. This high-octane set piece serves as a bold proclamation from the game. Hey, do you know Resident Evil? Well, I don't think so. It acts as the welcoming card for newcomers and veterans alike, ushering in a new era of survival horror and signaling the trajectory for future games. This was the pivotal moment when players realized that saving resources might not be the best option and that they could now combat not just a few, but an army of Ganados. Leon, a secret agent trained by the government, is no longer a rookie. Before plunging into this madness, the game provides a tutorial showcasing more of what Leon can do. If you haven't discovered the melee actions, the game now gives you all the necessary tips. Despite the guidance, the village can still be an overwhelming experience. Perhaps you need more time to grasp the mechanics, but time's a luxury and you don't have it. The village is where you must leverage all the knowledge that you gathered so far to overcome the challenge. Whichever approach you choose is the right one, running around until the section concludes, fighting your way through the Ganados, burning ammo and staying alive, or even attempting to explore and gain a deeper understanding of the mechanics. The village serves as the final act of a brilliantly crafted tutorial section, conveying everything the player needs to know to continue playing the game. It encapsulates all the design aspects of an interesting and intriguing game that urges the player to press forward. I genuinely appreciate how these initial minutes of the game create a lasting impression. You know what to expect, yet the game still managed to surprise you with breathtaking levels, terrific boss fights, and epic story moments that have solidified this game as not only a horror classic, but a timeless masterpiece in the gaming industry. In my opinion, Resident Evil 4 boasts one of the best introductions with a strong foundation and intuitive systems that rewards any type of player experience the game for the very first time. So yeah, if you never played the OG Resident Evil 4, you should give it a try. It is a very fun and engaging experience. One of the best survival horror games that I ever played to this day. So give it a try and let me know in the comments. Also, if you agree or disagree, feel free to also comment. Let's expand the discussion even further. Always with respect. I want to thank each one of you that watched the whole video. You guys are awesome. And also, don't forget to like. It helps me a ton. Like, I mean it. Well, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Stay awesome, stay safe, and don't forget.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?